And you're on.
Great. So we will open this meeting at 7 o'clock. This is the Newfields Conservation Commission. I am Allison Watts, Chair. We will start with reserve minutes.
Christian Alaris.
Tom Redberg.
Chris McDade.
Josh Lynn, Vice Chair. Mark Casper. Caleb Fields.
Thanks all. So first on our agenda, as Chris reminded me, I forgot treasurer's report. You scrambled for your papers there. Didn't know I was first. Okay. Okay, while you're doing that, I'm just gonna say, so the way the format of these agendas have been, it's old business, new business, and I find it fairly confusing. I'll just look at Chris's. So I took that out, but if people don't like this format, let me know and I'll go back to the old business, new business part. It's okay. So for the month ending December 31st, our conservation account had the total of $74,748.55. And our current use account had a total of $21,510.22. And there were no payments or disbursements from either account this month. Questions, comments? Motion to accept? I'll make a motion to accept. I move. Support. David? Great. So next on our agenda is minutes, which is going to be trickier today than it has been because one of the things we're going to discuss is sort of the format of the minutes. So the way Hillary's been doing them is sort of transcript style. And Hillary is going to be leaving us. She's like, I thought I had already gone. So one of the, and I'm really glad that you are here. So one of the things we had thought, and I don't know if this has come up with other boards as well, is Hillary does a transcript of the meeting. She goes through and adds things like names that the video was, that the video is not great at getting. And cleans them up a bit. We did a draft. I did a draft just downloading transcript from YouTube and using AI to make a short form. If that's something that we think is acceptable, and I sent that format out to people, that is a way we could move forward without having someone assigned to taking notes. So are any of the other boards thinking of that?
So what we're reading items, what they're doing on the select board is they'll take the transcript off the AI. Keisha will go through that and address it accordingly, and then just make any addendums or notes or corrections out of there. Instead of, this is unbelievable how you can get every word down. I kind of look at it and go, it's kind of like reading War and Peace sometimes. But, so that's the way Keisha does it, and there's enough knowledge there so you can assimilate, acquire what was transpiring, and it's pretty easy to work through, and then go back and make corrections to. And that seemed to be the consensus. Mark, would you?
Yes.
4 minutes are pretty.
It is pretty lengthy. She has to comb through it, but
Yeah.
That's one of the things I was talking to Sue about a couple of weeks ago. She mentioned they're very detailed, but it's hard to get the gist of what's transpiring.
Yeah. In my experience, we do this a lot where I work. As long as there's a person looking at it to make sure it makes sense, then I think it can work for us. But I think that someone has to take a look at it, because sometimes what I find is AI will summarize but not tell you anything. It's like, okay, and what was the decision type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think
So
that's the key.
This is a hybrid. So Hillary sent us the transcript, so the long form of the December meeting, where she's fixed the names and so on. And then I had an AI meeting style summary. There's one mistake in here that I can see, but generally I think it's fairly good. So, what I'm getting at is, do we need to have the expense of a paid secretary? Or is this something that we can handle ourselves?
I think we could handle it ourselves, especially if we do have someone nominated as secretary.
I was gonna say, because the next question is,
Yeah.
if we're doing it ourselves, then who would that be? Hillary, how long does it take you? I mean, there's two pieces, like you're.
Yeah, not the
No.
November, like October, November.
I would say it's like a times two. So whatever the length of the meeting is, it's usually about times two to get a detailed
Yeah.
transcript. But if you're already, but that's, I can't get everything down. So I'm going through and I'm listening to it again versus if you already have a transcript that's pretty accurate from AI or from this recording, then I'd say it probably would take about the time it takes to listen to the meeting. So maybe about an hour or so, whatever the meeting length is. Depending how good it is. If it's really good, then maybe you don't even need to listen to it and you can just read through it. I've never seen one of these transcripts.
Hand it off. So this
This
is
is what this looks.
Log it in.
This, we have.
Thought he was off today.
This is AI version of the long one you sent.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't have it printed out, one of the transcript. It comes off this pretty messy, but again, I was using AI to clean it up.
Okay.
And then you have to, you have to understand that it doesn't understand anything.
Right.
So then you have to, it definitely needs oversight.
Right. Yeah.
So I like this format. It's easy to read. What if we did this format, but also said, this was generated by blah, blah, blah AI, like
Mhm.
what did this? And then underneath, put the raw transcript.
Mhm.
Because who cares if the meeting minutes are 6 pages long? It's just kilobytes.
You want people to be able to get a gist of the meeting, and then
Yeah.
if they want the details,
Right.
they can go in there.
So I would do both.
Yeah.
Copy and paste the raw transcript.
Could run it through another AI system and just say, clean this up and give me a summary.
Yeah.
And it'll do it in a second, which is amazing.
I think what we're deciding here is whether we want, so as I understand it, Sue is looking for someone who will do this professionally, or whether we want to try taking on ourselves.
Yeah, having done it for a while, I would not want to do it. I'm just saying that.
Okay, that's good input.
Yeah, like I would be happy with paying somebody out of our budget with,
I think a shortened format like this is better for minutes, as we had discussed last time, rather than only the transcript being available. Someone is more likely to glance through something. I mean, with the search capabilities, hopefully that will be improved with the new website, so that will help as well. People could find something if they were looking for it, probably more easily, but
Could you clarify, Josh, what was it that sounded arduous? Take an AI summary of it?
putting them in,
Fixing weird errors.
yeah,
The old way, or an AI?
the old way, this is pre-AI, pre-transcript, was just making the minutes.
That's a lot of work.
Like listening to the recording and you couldn't quite hear something, you had to listen to it again. And
Yeah.
I wasn't good at it. And as you are in the meeting, I couldn't be present either. Like,
Right, exactly. That's probably.
Welcome to my life for 20 years.
I know, yeah, it's really impressive.
But I think the difference is, A, we do have much better sound than we had before. And B, yeah, so so these ones the demonstration ones that I produced probably took me half an hour.
Half an hour.
But I didn't go through and check the names, right? So the names are wrong now. There are errors in them, so it's probably another hour of work. So it might be 2 hours per set of minutes.
yeah, I would concur with that, just based on my work experience, that when I take the AI transcript, it takes me about as long as the meeting time to get a workable, readable copy that 3 months from now still makes sense. You know, in the moment, most people don't need it, most people don't look at it, but if you're coming back 3 months later, then some of the old minutes, I know, looking at the old minutes from a lot of these boards, when I'm trying to find information, half the time it's like, I have no clue what they're talking about. So it wasn't much better when the person was doing before Hillary. Or it got much better once she started getting
We're
involved.
not in any way disparaging our minute. Thanks, Chris.
No, it's just, I mean, it's a tough thing to do. I think, like Josh says, when you're in the moment and part of the meeting, it's extremely difficult to do. And that's the one thing that AI frees you up from is like, I lead a lot of meetings, and so I can be in the meeting, getting the transcript, getting the, you know, and after the meeting, get the AI reconstitution as a meeting summary. And that's much easier than me constantly trying to take notes, going only from my notes. So it catches things that I've missed sometimes. So I think the AI capability does help, but it is still time, human time spent to make it really readable.
And then what about the cases where this doesn't work? We don't get a transcript.
95% of the time it's recording it
Yeah,
The
what about
transcript.
that 5%?
in your,
Yeah, then we're back to scrolling, pieces of paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you have to have someone for that.
So what if we were to go ahead and continue to ask for paid assistance, but revisit this in a year? Because I think these capacities are just going to get better. And there's going to be a point where it's perhaps not the most cost effective.
One of my thoughts would be is that a few months off, perhaps, when we have a secretary, that this would be, the minutes would be one of the responsibilities. We were going to talk about officers tonight. And the review of any AI form of it would probably be a task that the secretary would do. And maybe that can be visited sooner than a year from now, but perhaps after the secretary's been appointed, which should be first half sometime.
That's not.
There is an alternative sort of happy medium. My organization uses a transcription service, but to the point of reliability, we send out the audio file or the audio and video file, and it gets translated through AI, but then it's human checked. So the part that we're talking about being cumbersome is actually done by a paid person. So they do, and then they'll format, they'll do summarizations, any of that add-on that you want, and it's relatively inexpensive. So it could be outsourced. And then you have kind of the best of both worlds. You have the human putting an eye on it, doing the checking.
I guess I'm inclined, I mean, I totally see that point. Just in terms of, for this commission, it would be complicated, I think, for us to find that. You have that already. I mean, just because other boards are already likely going to be using someone who could be using that same person.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments on that? Any comments from the peanut gallery? Okay. All right, then I don't think we need a resolution because we're not changing anything. We're just going to carry on looking for someone to help us with those minutes. We are missing 2 sets of minutes. So we had 2 meetings that weren't in our scheduled time that Hillary was not present at. I'll do the same thing. I'll do the AI transcript just so that we have something to have. I don't have them for today, so we don't have them to approve today. But I'll do that so that we have something to approve for the next meeting. So we have minutes for those. That means we actually have to discuss and accept the December minutes. I had December 21 here, which is wrong. I think it's for 22nd. Hillary sent the longer note set, and this thing that I just sent around is an AI short version of the set that Hillary sent. So
It says December 15th. Which would have been.
which one is which is the one Hillary? Do you remember which one? Which one was our official?
15.
I think it was the 15th. Sorry, that's my mistake.
That's what it says on here. That
Yeah.
makes sense because it would be the.
That's the
that would
third
be
Monday. Okay, so that's the full official meeting. Yeah. And it's the other 2 that we're missing. 22nd.
January, it was like the 29th,
On 20.
January 2nd, 3rd or something.
I don't even have that one. I was just going through the December one. So,
Oh,
yeah, okay, there's a January one too.
it's short.
Um, so on this, the one thing that I felt like it did not do a good job on is the amendment. So this is the short version. So following Josh's, or what we've also talked about, my inclination would be to put those sets of minutes up. So the long version and then the short summary, making a note at the top that it is AI generated. What the short summary does not do a good job of, and it's important, is under 7 bylaws discussion, the approved amendments. We did vote on that, and this does not say that. Other than that, I think it's fairly accurate.
It does say acted to revise. So that seems. to be
Yeah, but we took a vote on, I think it's important that.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Because bylaws are, so I can revise that.
Motion to accept these as supposed to be amended.
Any other comments?
Second.
Okay, good. Comments? Nope. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, monitoring reports. Dive into monitoring reports. So the first one, we have 3 to review and discuss. First one is daily. You should have all gotten these. Did you get all of these? I reviewed that. I didn't have any comments on the daily one, except to say those markings in the field have been a problem since that easement was first put in, because they're buried and you can only find them with metal detector, basically. That's really hard to do. It's hard to do in the winter, but because it's an active field that's being used, they don't want things sticking up. So she noted that those boundaries are problematic. They always have been. I don't know if there's a great solution to that. You were out there, right?
I
Tom?
was present.
Do you have any comments or thoughts on that?
On the overall site visit, I mean, it went fine. There was snow on the ground. So you're certainly not able to identify invasives or anything like that occurring, but we did cover the perimeter. We saw 4 eagles in the air.
It's amazing.
Very impressive, yeah. And there was there was some notations of things to move and all that, but there's certainly nothing to be of great concern.
Anyone else have any comments on the daily easement report?
Are those boundaries, noted, the next be noted in the deed someplace, right?
Yeah, and the coordinates are there, but to actually find them, they're not drill holes, they're buried metal field. So you have to go around with a metal detector and find them.
Yeah, I'm just saying there is a record of what
Yeah,
they should be,
yeah,
so
yeah.
as,
So
if we
within-
really needed something, or we're concerned about something, was it on the easement, was it off the
Right.
easement, we could.
Right, and that's good. I think that those are good to within several feet. As we'll get to Vernon's, we'll find out that sometimes several feet is important. So generally they're okay.
Yeah.
They're not-
She had the GPS basically with her
Yeah.
and mentioned like within a foot or 2, and she had corrected it for magnetic north and all that. So
Yeah.
we were right there pretty much. It was whether it was under that tree or by that bush or something. That's what we're at. So
Someone want to make a motion to accept that?
Second.
I didn't make a motion. I was suggesting someone make the motion.
Oh, I thought you made the
I was
motion.
just trying to mix it up a little bit.
I motion to accept
Okay,
the monitoring report.
right, thank you. Any other discussion? Nope. All right, all in favor?
I,
Okay, Gilmore, so the issue with Gilmore is that some portions of the easement need to be resurveyed. Ariana did not get out there in time. She said it was really snowy when she was out there. She looked at it. She didn't feel like she could do an accurate survey. So what she did was an aerial. So the report that we have is basically all she does is she looks at the aerial imagery. We talked about timing for next year. She's going to put Gilmore on their schedule for basically as soon as the snow melts. I asked her to get us the reports next year by September. I think it's September, maybe October, basically before the snow. Part of the problem this year was just that it took us a while, I think, to get approval for the budgets. So she said, if we can tell her now that the budgets are pretty much approved, then she can put it on their schedule. So it doesn't mean we can't change our minds, but she needs to know ahead of time to schedule it. So I asked her to go ahead and schedule that. So hopefully we'll get Gilmore done in the spring. Just something to think about again, from a cost point of view. A lot of land conservation organizations use aerial surveys for at least some of their easements. And for those of our easements, particularly more, probably the Greenway, that's something that we could consider doing. It's a heck of a lot cheaper. I know what CEL does is they do them every 3 years. So they'll do a aerial survey and then they do a feet on the ground survey every couple of years. So I don't think, obviously, we wouldn't want to do that for Vernon or some of the more heavily used sites. But for those ones that aren't problematic, that's something we could think about. Okay. Any comments or thoughts on the Gilmore report that we got, such as it is?
Motion that we accept it as is pending the updated report for the next year, or this year now.
Yeah, we're not pending on that because this report is the report we've had for 2025.
Okay, so she did go out. Well, she didn't go out, she
Right,
just did
but
the area.
she did the area, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we have for 2025.
Okay,
I'll second that.
I have to think I have to modify the motion that we accept the report as presented.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
I-
Okay, Vernon Vernon Anderson. So I went out on that site walk. I have the whole big file here. Entertainment. There are a couple of things that we need to talk about and think about there. One is the location of the porta potties. So as she said in the report, the porta potties are probably not in the easement, but the sort of 3 feet of uncertainty, they're very, very close. So the 3 feet of uncertainty in the survey means that we cannot say definitively whether they are in or whether they are out. Her suggestion is that we get at least that corner point surveyed next year, and she thinks that she could do that at little to no additional cost on our existing monitoring. So the way it stands right now, we don't know for sure whether there's an issue there. We can ask them to move it to be proactive. We can wait till we have the next survey. I don't feel strongly either way. And
I feel like if it's just a matter of 3 feet, they are called porta potties.
yeah,
3 feet sounds pretty reasonable.
yeah, they're in an enclosure. So they're in that wooden enclosure. So you'd have to pull it out of the enclosure and put it on the other side. But it's not.
But really probably not going to use much until next year. At this point, it's not until they have another, that most likely.
I don't know. I didn't ask that. It's possible the farm people use it. I don't know. Any other opinions?
Service truck is parked, is about 10 feet from there into the conservation, it's cleaning out. The other question would be, is washout too,
Wash out from the,
washed out once a week.
yeah.
So whether it's 3 feet or not, they're sprayed out. Where's that all going to?
Truck.
No,
Yeah, so I know nothing
On the
about
ground.
anybody, so I don't know what.
it's washed out on the ground.
We can ask them to ensure that the porta potty and all associated
I think it'd be easy to
activity,
move it.
my list of things. And then let's keep going because there are a couple other things.
Are there two in there presently?
That was just one.
Just one.
So there are 2 dumpsters on site. One is for garbage, one is recycle. The garbage one was empty. The recycle one I took a picture of, it's got a bunch of paper feed bags. So that is on the conserve property. And what other things were we concerned about?
Fuel.
There is a fuel cube, and the fuel cube contains fuel for the tractors. That is on the conserve property. So does the easement say, I'm trying to figure out.
Not allowed
so it's-
to have fuel cubes on any easement because spillage fuel, both filling the fuel cube and filling equipment. It's not allowed to be on there.
Where does it say it in the easement? And I only need to know it because they're gonna ask. What?
State law.
Okay. Can you find that? Because if I'm gonna write them a letter, I'm gonna have to cite it.
Yep.
Okay, so find me something to cite. And you couldn't see anything about the parking, it was snowy. And then you are correct that the photos are out of order, and so I'm gonna ask her to fix that. The descriptions are correct, but the locations on the map. Right. Other concerns?
Be Harmon Exeter Road. In regards to your statement about the surveyor, talking to the surveyor, and you're talking about the northeast corner,
So it's the
87 heads,
northeast corner
or
of,
the northwest corner,
so the northeast corner.
the one next to Patterson or the one next to the yellow house?
It's basically right here. So this line here
Yeah.
is very hard to find. So it's either here or it's here.
I was gonna reference on that one on the northwest corner, there's a steel rod, 3/4 inch rebar with a green cap and it's bent. Surveyor, I've had multiple conversations with the surveyor. What they'll do is when the survey pin is under the stone wall, they will take a rod, drive it, bend it and put a green cap on it. So there was all that discussion and debate on whether that was the pin. Corner, no, that's just a flag to tell you that the pin itself is underneath there. And if you call the surveyor, he's very receptive to doing what needs to be done to assist the town.
What was the company? Do you remember?
It's on the chart.
Yeah, I think it just, again, 2 feet wouldn't matter everywhere, but in that particular easement, 2 feet matters, so. We should tighten that up. Okay. Other concerns, thoughts about this? So we're gonna ask them to move the porta potty. I think that we need to be prepared that they may say that we can't prove the porta potty is or is not on the easement. So just aware that that's likely to happen. We can ask them to move the fuel cube if we can verify that is in fact something that has to happen, something that's legal.
Yeah, that's on the state website.
Find it to me and I'll send it to them. I will draft, once I get that information, I will make a draft and I will send that out for comment and review.
I don't think these are on the Google Drive. I will.
Yeah, and
They're
they're
still in the Dropbox.
still in the Dropbox and Keisha wanted copies because people were asking for them and because we hadn't approved them. They're all stamped with bright yellow draft. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to pull that off. It's just it's in the PDF. And I will say, these are the most enormous PDFs I've ever seen. They're like 25 megabytes and I couldn't get them to compress. So if anybody has a better version of Adobe or something, and when you can't compress them, you can't email them. And they're even hard to print. So if anybody wants to take a crack at that,
Sometimes it works to print as PDF, like a lower quality.
tried that and it just was not, yeah, I'm not sure I have a super updated version of Adobe, but yeah, it wouldn't, usually you can do just a compress. It wasn't good.
Sometimes you can export to.
Yeah, well, if anyone can figure it out.
Okay.
Because you can't email them. I had to put them on a Google Drive so Keisha could pick them off and stuff like that. So, yeah, what's going on there?
So are we gonna vote on this one this time, or are we gonna wait for the change to the report? Because two things. One is the actions because of the report. The other is the report itself that needs a slight amendment.
I would suggest that we vote that we accept this, provided the photos are corrected.
I'm happy to motion that we approve this as we plan to request the update.
What would be the downside of pursuing it till next, leaving it, like getting a little further along, maybe talking?
Oh, well, they're not, she's not gonna change the report for any of our actions. So our actions are a result of the report. So the only thing that's at issue in the report right now is the fact that the photos are not aligned with the description.
So the report as is would be what we're voting on, that there's no inaccuracies basically
The report as we're requesting it to be amended.
to be amended.
Correct. We're voting to accept the report.
Yeah, right.
Not voting on actions.
Nothing to do with the actions. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to come back to that. So let's start with the report. So we have a motion.
Motion that we accept this report as as it will be amended based on our request.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to ask for a motion on these, on the letter to the Vernons, just so we have that on the record. So I will make a motion that we, written by me, will send a letter to the Vernons requesting that they move the porta potty to be conservative and ensure that there's no damage from the porta potties or actions associated with them. And that we look into and if appropriate, ask them to move the field cube out of the easement. A little convoluted, but close enough. All right, I need a second. Okay, all in favor? Okay. So membership terms and renewals. This has been a very busy year for the Concom. And Keisha was like, who replaced who? What are your terms? What's going on there? So I sent this little table out to you guys. The stuff underneath, this is what Keisha sent me. So that's what's in her records. And then what I tried to do was figure out who came in and who they replaced, because you pick up, you inherit the term of the person you replaced. I think, does this work, Caleb? You came in round about August? Yeah. Okay. I think you replaced Jeff.
Think so.
We think so. I think so. Okay, I think Tom replaced Forrest round about September. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lori's been here. Josh has been here. So you replaced Chris replace Dave around about March of 2025.
No, I replaced Tim in June, but yeah, they had been up, I guess the commission was without a treasurer for a few months.
Okay. Yeah, I was going through emails, just trying to figure out when people came in based on emails. And then the one that's confusing is she has Chris Griffiths having an end term of 2028. And I think you replaced Chris around about September,
April
April of
of 2025.
25. April. It just doesn't quite. Griffiths couldn't really have had a term that ended in 28.
That makes sense.
The math doesn't quite work there. Okay, I'll just tell Keisha that,
You could always look to see when he started, just
yeah,
3 years from there.
yeah. Okay. Figure that out.
I sent you an email because there was something in her notes that made it sound like it was different than what you ended up with up there. But I can't remember what I sent now because it was a few weeks ago.
I think you said that maybe this was supposed to be 27, which is,
Because of the 3-2, yeah,
Yeah.
the 3-3-2.
yeah. And I think it's just, that's what's in her records. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll tell her we're good, except for that one, and we have no idea. So those of us who are expiring, so to speak, that would be me in March of 2026. Caleb, because you inherited from Jeff, so you inherited his term, Tom. And then who knows about you. So all of us, if we are interested in continuing, then we usually discuss this at the February meeting, and anyone who's interested in continuing, we let the Board of Selectmen know, and then they can choose to reappoint. Okay, if you're not interested in continuing, then at that point, we go around and look to recruit someone else. Okay? You don't have to tell me now, you can think about it, but that's why it seems strange. You just came on and you're expired already, but that's why. Any questions on that?
Twilight Zone, yeah. Expired.
Okay. Good enough? All right, bylaws.
Ask, are the appointments done in the calendar month of March typically, or April? There's that March, we have kind of March 31st as our deadline date, and in other bylaws I see has April 30th, I think. So are we,
I think they usually sort of tie the town meeting, so
is March?
I think that's the way we've always, yeah. Okay. So bylaws. So I am not particularly, so we had two sets of bylaws, one on alternate members, one on select board liaison. I found the format that they were in a little bit wordier, so I threw my friend Grammarly at them. I don't really care. If we want to leave them in the longer and wordier format, this is what they would look like if they were condensed. The only formative change that I made, was one around select board liaison. So should we just start with alternate members, because that's what we talked about first, I think, last time. And I didn't have any concerns or issues with anything in it. Did others have comments?
I'm gonna read it out, just to, so
Did I give them to you all? Oh, sorry. I sent them that way and I didn't send this over. You guys have extras?
And again,
yeah.
There's another one.
Yeah, guys.
It's also, it should be, you also got this, It's also in the Google Drive, just in the Google Drive, it's a different format. And I don't know if you picked that, I mean, if there's, like, if that's the way everyone else does their bylaws in that very bulleted format, or,
No, and I'm fine condensing it as long as the core.
as long as it didn't
pieces
make
are-
things up, which is perfectly possible.
So at the last meeting, we discussed the liaison. You said you would come back,
No, right now.
Yeah, let's stick to
Oh, stick alternate, okay. That's the one I.
Well, then you don't
Are
have
you
any.
satisfied? Are you satisfied with?
Yeah, well, so the alternate member, for one thing, when you say we're going to take these by sections, the alternate member got me into the section on organization, on the alternate, on terms, on vacancies, on recusals, disqualification, leave of absence and removal. So that kind of developed into further things only because it had to be done to really address the alternate's role under those circumstances. So it developed into more things. And a lot of what I took was plagiarized from other towns, as I'd mentioned, that I had looked at, but not lock, stock, and barrel. If I liked the sentence or cogent sentence, then I would put that in there. But I tried to make it concise. So to whittle this down a lot further, I would have to look at that because it seems like it would lose a lot of content in my viewpoint. So I don't have time to do that right now, but it was it was not designed to be a wordy document. I can do that. I'm guilty of that now and then. But I did go with trying to be concise on it. While still being specific.
Yeah.
So are you saying you would like to bring this back for discussion next month after having shared the relevant related sections?
Oh, I have shared that.
Okay.
That for one thing, that this has been distributed. Essentially, it's a different form of it. So, I mean, I can't really speak to this right now because I have, side by side. But if mine was, I would have issues with it.
I mean, what's wrong with this boiled down version that Allison put together here? That is there anything
Well,
on?
if in a given section, there's 4 major points to be made, and the condensed version only has 2 of them, but I can't really say that right now without diving into it. But just based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like it's probably missing some important points.
Sentences together. So to some extent, it just condensed sentences.
Yeah.
So we want to look at the true content of the alt membership. And it's unclear to me a little if you're saying you don't want to consider this without the other pieces. We want to be able to just sort of look at this section and see whether or not this section is.
Yes, we want to resolve this.
So it's just this one section you're talking.
Just the alt member section,
Okay.
right there.
Yeah, see,
That's it.
and then turn, okay. That's different. I thought this whole thing was pulled down.
No.
Yeah.
Because I was just doing the
Yeah.
sections that we said we were going to talk about.
One small question, would you say that voting is a power of a commission officer?
Is a power for all of the commissioners.
Yeah.
Except the alternate.
Well, when the alternate's seated, they can vote.
But yes,
I just recommend we change, so in the third paragraph, I guess. When seated, the alternate shall have full voting authority, may deliberate, and shall be counted towards a quorum, but shall not exercise any other powers reserved to commission members. So just add the word other.
Oh, I
Is it
see-
kind of
I
like
see what you mean. 'Cause
cancels it out,
Voting,
like-
yep, I see what you mean. The other powers, other than voting.
And the only thing I would add is maybe starting with the chair may seat an alternate. It seems odd to, like, to start it with why you would have an alternate versus
Yeah.
an alternate may participate. It seems like that's kind of out of sequence.
And what I'm going to suggest is we discuss alternate and we discuss the select board liaison and then we vote on those, sort of the way we did before. So we vote. So just to let you know where I think we're going. That's okay with everyone.
You want to use it, I see on the other side of the paper there, when you talk about the select board liaison, you've got a nice headings, purpose, appointment status, et cetera. Do you want to use that same format throughout? Because that seems like a really good format, but that's not the format explicitly in the alternate member.
I do not feel strongly about that particular format. This was in the bullets. That it's because it's taken two documents that were formatted slightly different. So as we come to the the final version, we can decide on what format we want.
Okay. Yeah, it would be nice to be consistent.
Right. Also,
AI being fickle.
One of the ways that we might work on this is to put these out and distribute them and then close down discussion at some date, like the 31st of the month. So that we get to review them, and then we can work by section, but ultimately we're voting on the whole document, section by section. Section by section isn't really going to move the whole bylaws forward. So, but
No.
we can basically close it out in discussion and then the team can move on, the committee can move on to different sections without having to think we're going to have to come back.
I think isn't that what we're trying to do?
Yeah.
We're going to look at the alternate member.
Yeah.
So we're looking at these two sections today and try and close them. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts on the alternate member section? People fairly happy with that? And the other section, which is formatted differently, I'm sorry. But again, it should be just a condensed.
Yeah.
Because,
This is what
and the only thing I wanted to change, under participation. The original version said the liaison may attend commission meetings, and I said, shall. No options. So that was the only thing that I changed the intent on.
That
Or will.
allows the liaison to be absent should they,
Nope.
they,
No, it's just, I think that from our point of view, we would like the liaison to be present. We have had select board appointed members who are not very present, and that's their, we can't make them be present, but we appreciate it when they are, and I think we can put that in the language.
I think with that, and I sent an email, I think may wasn't the right word and there's will in there. As far as that participation section. And I think that it's more like the liaison is encouraged to come to meetings, discuss, give us clarifications, participate in that. I think that's the word. It's not, may is a little bit incorrect, as is shall or will. But
must be.
Yeah, I think I put may in there originally only because the nature of the role is that they're here.
Yeah.
But it seemed like an expectation, and I suppose I was thinking that if the liaison's sick or, shall is, but I'm open to whatever strong language we want to use. It is completely fine.
I think, with other positions, they have some kind of language in there saying if that person doesn't show up on a consistent basis, you reserve the right to replace that person. Right, something to that effect.
Right, and I think that one of the sort of safeguards of that is the discretion of the select board, right? So I suppose if you did have may in there, or no matter the language, if the liaison was not attending the meetings and not serving that role, then the select board would be sort of the check and balance there.
I'm happy to go back to May. You've sort of convinced me that May is okay. Right. Any other comments or thoughts on this section?
It's a good distillation.
And terms just got in there because I think I copied it in. So do we want to do terms, or is that something that's been changed?
Oh, this part that got pulled into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Enemy. It's different.
No, pretty much the same. All right, any comments or thoughts on terms?
I think this condensed section was just the first paragraph. Said it went down. I don't think it's catching this stuff at all.
It's not. So I didn't feed it any of that.
Oh, right, okay,
Because
so
I'm
just,
only feeding it the parts that.
just the first bit, so it's not the whole section.
Yeah, when I accidentally put in terms,
All right, well-
since I put it in accident.
Okay, got it, okay.
Okay, so we've got 3 sections here. Liaison, alternates, and terms. We've discussed them. If we're happy with them, I'm going to make a motion that we, I'm trying to figure out how to put this,
Approve.
that we approve this revised wording to be, I just want to say we approve this revised wording. Sorry. I'm not going to say anything about the actual bylaws at this point because that's not really what we're doing. So we approve this revised wording for potential input into the bylaws. Is that the right way to put it? I think so.
So we're not actually going to put them into the bylaws at this point, even though last time we said we would
Well, that's,
vote on them.
yeah, but we're not, I think we have to do a vote to actually revise the bylaws. And I don't want to do that piecemeal,
Okay,
but I want to do what Tom said. I want to kind of check the box on these and say, we're kind of done with these.
okay.
We're approving a draft is all we're approving.
Yeah, we're approving this draft.
And these will be, put from a logistics standpoint, out of that work in progress folder, these will be put into the next phase.
Yes. And that's with adding the other and alternative and may in the participation.
Okay. I need a second.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Since I have this text, I will make these changes. I will try to put them in the right place in the folder, but, or maybe, can I make the changes and send them to since you're, I'm gonna make these text changes and send them to you to weave into whatever documents.
Be
you're
happy to do that, yeah.
Okay,
You know what, on, with the Wednesday, the 14th, I sent out the updated bylaws that we voted on December 15th. Chris, you said you're gonna double check my work to make sure that the original 1992 bylaws match the bulk of the text in the December 15th with a little addition of the, change in the cadence of updating that we voted on. So everybody's good with that. I don't know if we need to do a motion for accepting this final version that I'm gonna send to the town.
Six, because I think we already voted.
Yeah, since we already voted on that.
Okay,
That was just a quality check.
okay. Well, okay. So I will send that, and then I will put this, the Word version and the PDF version in our, guidance documents folder. That would be our thing that's released that we're going to reference. And then any additions to that, I'll put a copy of the Word version in the work in process one that we can add these 3 sections. Perfect. This is the first step to get this rolling.
That one for.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So can we just finish this next time? Do we have, how many more pieces do we have to go?
One thing Tom had asked
This
me
being
about
last-
was the section on the treasurer. He asked me to look at it and I did look at it. And there's a law that's been passed, or a section of 36A that got updated that needs to be reflected in our bylaws. So I have a suggestion for that, so I can easily do that and send it out to everybody, and we can talk about it next time, but we definitely need to add a section because it's been updated in section 36A since our bylaws were drafted originally.
Okay. Yes, I can imagine things have changed a little.
Not much, but
I think that sounds good. The treasurer section actually was one of the ones that are in the current bylaws that I felt was the most succinct and together in the first place.
yeah,
So,
they added
Yeah.
another responsibility.
but it wasn't too bad. What Chris sent off last week was a great bulleted list of like all the different topics that we should try to work into the bylaws. And many of them are already in the drafts or in the current ones. So 40% already done pretty much. Another 30% are probably in the works. And then there's the other little parts that are a little less clear, maybe a little less, parts that I haven't found in the bylaws. Could address kind of, conduct and stuff like that. And so you mentioned having separate documents that are best practices documents. And I think that's a good thing where the bylaws can have many subject matters covered. But a mission statement could be a separate document. And that way it could be revised annually, more easily than bylaws. And some of these things that have to do with how we do a site visit, things like that, I think would be better not in the bylaws themselves, but as separate documents. So if in concept we agree to do some of that, that would be great, because then the scope of the bylaws project pulls down a little bit and doesn't, end up including all these other things like mission statements, things like that. So maybe that's a good way to go. And then we can get the scope so we can complete this by the March meeting. I think we want to complete this. And if there's too much debate on some topics, we can just shut that down for a later revision or put them into a different document. But I think that would be reasonable. But I think we're in good shape to cover the main ones, definitely. But that was a good list. Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you want to try and do the same thing again? This worked just great for me. You guys go away and work and you come up with things and I throw an AI at it. And I'll skip the AI. You guys can do that if you want. So think about the format you wanted in.
Yeah, and it may be, and as I said in my email, this was the list that Caleb shared a list last time. Tom had a list, I had a list. I tried to distill it down. And some of these, I think what I took away from your respective lists wasn't necessarily, in some instances, that it was missing from the bylaws, but that maybe the bylaw needed to be enhanced or clarified. And so this doesn't capture that nuance. But to the point of if there's a document, some other document outside of bylaws, some of these things may be more appropriate. And I don't know what other conservation commissions are using for that document, code of conduct or regular, guidelines, things like orientation that start to get into details. There might be some brief mention of it in the bylaws, but when it comes down to the work, it could be in another document. So it might be, I don't know, Tom, if you had any insights into what other commissions or municipal entities are using outside of bylaws. for documents in your research?
Definitely mission statements are there.
Yeah.
And I think things like some site visit protocols and things like that can be. So I haven't really gone down, but there'll be the bylaws we will end up with are going to be longer than most in the state, once we get there. So we're already making it a bit of a heavy document.
Yeah.
And so we should, I think, create some alternatives to that.
So as a next step with this list, to your point, Allison, would it make sense if Caleb and Tom, if you guys are willing to go through this, pare it down, maybe identify like, yes, this should be, hearing both of your points about, no, this needs to be in the bylaws or needs to be a clarification in the bylaws because, and then we come back with that scaled down list to this to say, here's what we're recommending for the bylaws, here's what we're recommending for separate documents.
Right.
And then we can go from there.
Just conceptually, maybe for me, I tend to think of bylaws as things that govern areas that are statutory requirements, whereas guidance or rules of procedure might be more advisory. So I think
Yeah.
that might be the way I might think
Yeah.
about breaking it.
Great.
Like, some towns, they don't have bylaws. They're called rules of procedure. And we'd probably be better to call it that, but for continuity, bylaws is fine with me, but, there's nothing in 36A that says you have to have bylaws that cover the statutory things. So they really do end up with procedural things that clarify and give specificity to how do we do processes. So, but I wouldn't propose that we change the name. I just keep the bylaws in my mind.
I think since we've got bylaws, we can just keep bylaws and
Yeah.
make them as succinct as link to the legal requirement of 36A and the various other laws that are cited as being in the vein of the Conservation Commission once it's been decided to use that format in the town.
Your point taken.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will carve out time in the next meeting to carry on this discussion.
I have some things on officers, if you'd like to talk about that or tonight.
We've got a bunch of things to get through, so let's come back to that. Hobie, can I ask you a question? So we're working on these bylaws. One of the things a question that came up, and I can write this to you formally, but just getting a feel, would it be possible have town council review the draft bylaws when we're done before we adopt them? Okay. Yeah. Hey, window insert program. Chris and I made windows this morning and it was really fun. I was so impressed by the way they're running that program.
You had it done, you said?
Yeah, we went in, they're making 250 window inserts and they're just like
They're big. There's a lot of big
Yeah.
windows in this.
they're really nice. Oh.
There's still volunteer opportunities available tomorrow through Thursday. If you go online, are interested.
Yeah. And they're doing a great job. I was super impressed by them and they do them all over. They do like 30 of these across New England. So, and they've got it down. So that's going well. Thank you, Chris, for pushing that forward. They were very happy to have new fields because we're new to them. I have committees on here. I'm wondering if that's really in the right place. So we were going to talk about the types of committees that we want to have. We have one committee formed.
It seems to me we would need to address what kind of our mission or objectives are for this year to decide what committees we might need. Although the one thing that has come up is like with the various organizations we support, I tried to go to the one meeting that ended up being on a snowy day, so they changed it to Zoom. And because I wasn't on the list officially attending, they didn't let me know. So now I'm on the list. But for all of the committees and commissions that we support by paying a fee, membership fee or whatever, it seems like we ought to have somebody who attends or is at least the point person. So I don't know if you'd call that a committee or if it's just individuals, with that responsibility so that we form a tighter association with these organizations.
Yeah, I think I would call that more representative. So what I was thinking about in terms of committees would be like having a committee who that's sort of what you guys are doing in terms of focusing on the bylaws on, for instance, a lot of Concom have a easement committee. So they've got some people who just sort of track the easements. So that's more what I was thinking. No, I was going to say, I'm thinking we should table this until March when we know what our officers are, what our sort of distribution is. So but that's what I was thinking. And it was in my notes from last meeting, so I put it in the agenda. So. Okay, correspondence. There are a couple of things under correspondence. This is just, I'm sort of lumping together things that we get by email. So as you know, and as we've discussed before, we have a new town council. I gathered up the materials, basically the box that we put together that we had shared for the Vernon discussion. I sent that over to the new law firm. I have not heard anything. Is there anything I should know that we should be doing differently? They'll tell us. Okay.
No, Chris did receive all that information and he's just put it in the queue and he's working his way through it.
Thank you. And then the other piece of correspondence we got, so I sent that out last night, this is minutes. But we have been contacted by a couple of adjoining towns about this potential expansion of the transfer station in Epping that's on the banks of the Piscasset. And Tom has followed up on that a bunch more than I have. There is a call tomorrow, I believe. But in essence, if we want to comment on that permit application, we have until Thursday to do that. And I think what I'd like to do is have a little discussion tonight and then vote on whether or not we want to comment. And it's going to have to be a little bit of a, yes, we want to comment, but we're not going to be able to draft that now. So we will comment and we will
We'll delegate that.
delegate. Thank you. Or Tom, as the case may be. Tom, do you want to comment on that? You spent more time looking at it than I.
Well, we got a email with some information on Friday night. And it regards, and I want to start with this. So 36A says that our mandate is to look after the natural resources of the town and the water resources as well. So what we're going to discuss is, several, maybe a couple thousand feet or yards rather, outside of town boundaries in terms of the land boundaries, but in terms of water boundaries, well within 36A purview, I think, of what it's appropriate for us to be interested in. Okay. So it addresses a private company, commercial company called Resource Waste Services. And they have a facility that is in that drive right to the west of the drag strip as you come off of that exit on Route 27. And they're back in there. It's a commercial, at this point, it's commercial construction waste and debris facility where they have crushers and things and they recycle it. So they've got a facility for that. So they're a company that has a facility in Lewiston, Maine, doing some of the same things, in Salem, New Hampshire, and 2 or 3 locations in Massachusetts. And it seemed like, from what I'm seeing, every one of them has been expanded in the last year or so. So going through a large expansion of all these sites, or at least more than one, more than just Epping. But Epping has been the construction C&D delivery site. And what we're going to learn more tomorrow because there's a dearth of information. But it does seem like they're applying and have applied in July of 24, actually, to DES to get a municipal solid waste permit. And it will expand their site considerably. Even at present, they're within the 1/4 mile setback on the Piscasset up there by the drag strip. The drag strip and some other properties, really in Epping, maybe another town, are the abutters. And they got, to my knowledge, they got mail in certified form to respond to the hearing that was held last Tuesday, I believe, but wasn't very well attended. And so we have a few cryptic notes on that. So this is something that appears like it has blindsided many people from the different in Epping and other towns as well. So don't want to say anything was done improperly whatsoever. However, it does seem like it's within our concern areas. And so tomorrow I'm going to attend that call. And then we have a deadline to provide a piece of mail, which would be to the DES, where we voice our concerns along with the city of Durham. I think SELF is responding. And then the Lamprey River Conservation Organization also has one in there that was already sent in November. We might join on to that with I believe, and this is what we can discuss, I believe the emphasis would be on some additional time to look into ramifications to our town and to the water tables and things around there. Make sure that their monitoring appears to be accurate and detailed enough to cover any problems that might arise with a site like that. And to maybe get a little more public input and perhaps a project plan that is more succinct than going through the 400 pages of the DES proposal, where it's very hard to tell. But I've tried to weed through that, and looking at the tonnage, which is public, is 750 tons, and it doesn't mean much to me. But what I'm reading into it is the truck traffic. And right now they get X amount of truck traffic, and it's by a month, and it varies by month, but it seems modest, but it could triple in that area from what I can tell. And I might even be off on that end of things, because they don't have numbers, but they can just compare it to the Hudson facility that's similar. So they're going by that. And by the way, it's taking in waste from Massachusetts, and New Hampshire, I think, but it's going to be multi-state. So there's things that will be more clear in the conference call tomorrow. Today would be great to get any concerns that you have. I would think both airborne issues and things that have to do with the water table and waste handling would be our main interest.
The mention on that letter about they were putting in a permit for accepting PCBs,
Yeah.
and
Possibly.
that would be a mess.
Yeah, that would be a supplemental part to their application. It wasn't clear on that. That'll come out tomorrow, which is,
Think about something may go within the 250-foot buffer. The
Yeah.
250-foot buffer.
They're within the 250-foot buffer with this gas.
I mean, how is that?
There's an existing transfer station there, so there may be, I don't know the history. They may have grandfathered in. So
It's
there's,
a mess surrounding it. If you pull down in there, it's a mess within a quarter mile of
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And Scothic River is right behind there. The other towns are concerned about that they're downriver from it. Well,
So are we?
for this committee, we have a conservation piece in the Anderson easement, the Vernon family farm. They pull water off that river to feed their property.
Yeah.
So it directly affects this town when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
And it's
I looked briefly at their website. It looks like a lot of their materials are wood and they break it down and they repurpose.
right now,
Yeah, and then what's the municipal trash? Is it always going to be a transfer station or is
they're
it going
talking
to
about bringing regular garbage in from Massachusetts.
to dump permanently or?
I gotta think they separate it out and then send it to Turnkey. But if you drive down that road right now, it's a mess all the way out to 125, or that's not 125, that's 27.
Yeah.
That's a quarter mile away.
Are they burying any of this?
That's not being buried. No, it's being processed and shipped out.
Okay.
But you got to go in there during a rainstorm and look how much is washing down out of there. Go in there in a windy day and see how much is blowing around that area. You got the river right behind there. And it does feed farms right here in this town.
Probably also that river probably also feeds a lot of wells.
So it's, right, I mean, even beyond that, but there was one of the Vernon family reports, they draw water off there to feed the farm and you got that feeding into it too, with what going into it? You know, I don't know. It's kind of concerning, I think.
Yeah, so
I think a letter should be sent out with concern.
yeah, I think what we're sort of doing here is to feel as a commission that this is of concern to the town. I certainly do, for all those reasons mostly.
Sorry. I don't know if I should.
Please.
Alan Morrow, just a question, but the PCBs, did you mean the polychlorinated biphenyls? Yeah, I'm kidding, it's nasty.
No, printed circuit boards, well, anything that, I think, what I've read about PCBs is, for what they've used in, electronic, mechanisms. They used to have some kind of, lubricant, and they would basically take that offage from this lubricant and put it into like a kitty litter. And this is just one example, like GE had
I think they.
a ton of PC.
But bisphenols.
Yeah, yes,
That's not only on printed circuit boards.
no,
No, I
it's,
thought that acronym was printed circuit boards.
No.
no.
Polychlorinated bisphenols.
No, PCBs are, no, it's a petroleum-based
They're
product,
looking to
right?
clean that out there.
They want to dump it there. So GE for years has been dumping that into waterways down in Mass in the Hudson River, and they were charged with cleaning that up. Now they're dredging that from places down in Mass, and then they're looking to bury it in places.
New Hampshire.
Right.
Well, I don't know where they're looking to bury it,
But
but
just be fair, this is a transfer station, so they're not planning, I mean, it's
I
going
don't
to
know.
clean up everywhere because it's messy, but it's not the intention that they bring it here. But, and it is also not entirely clear from this permit whether they're going to be handling PCBs. But it's a
The
possibility.
mention of it is alarming. But
There was an amendment to the original application to do PCBs.
And it's cancer causing. I mean, it's been proven
Yeah.
to cause cancer. So
Well, let's be honest too, that place takes in right now, it's all, you know, construction dumpsters and stuff. How much stuff people sneak into those too?
oh, God, yeah.
I mean, you've got-
Asbestos.
Yeah, asbestos free on oil, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah.
Even with the municipal waste, the Lamprey River folks did a nice job outlining some of the things that you can expect with that. What is the timeline, Tom? So the call is tomorrow and then
By Thursday.
Thursday.
I think one of the things they're going to ask for is an extension of comments. And we can ask for that too. So I think.
It's just a
Yes.
process. That's not necessarily going to be granted.
No, not necessarily, but we can ask. So I think the key pieces that we are concerned about, water quality due to the proximity to the Piscatic. We are concerned about potential airborne because we are very close. We are concerned about contamination to the groundwater, and we're concerned about just solid waste litter that's blowing around. We are not abutting, but we are directly downstream. And I think we say, I'm sort of mentally trying to list the things that we might put into this letter, and we'll know more tomorrow, but an extension of the comment period, ensuring that best practices are actually adequate to protect our resources, and that monitoring is in place to make sure that that happens. Those are sort of kind of the direction I would go in. Is that kind of what you're thinking, Tom?
Exactly. Yeah. Probably, does not need to be multiple pages like the Lamprey River Advisory Committee. They went into detail, like you said. So, yeah, I don't think we need to do that to get on the record, but.
We can write that we're in support of.
And then, we've heard today that, possibly tomorrow, one of the Epping Concom personnel will be on that call. Because it wasn't clear that they even knew about it.
Okay. And if anyone else wants to be involved in this call tomorrow,
you know, at
I don't know if we even have information,
1:30 PM.
30 PM. Would anyone else like to be on that?
We got invited by the Conservation Law Foundation person or,
I'll listen in. It's a Zoom meeting? Is that what it is?
yeah, I could try to get that. Like, it's short time to get brought in, you know, but we'll be happy to do that. Yeah, that's a good idea, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we resolve that we will draft a letter that we will draft a letter
Expressing concern.
expressing concerns, details to be worked out. And that we approve Tom as a proxy. to-
Try to draft a letter after the call tomorrow.
Okay.
So I will draft a letter and then write something and then you can run it through your Wordly.
Sorry, I'm addicted to it. Okay. Second on that?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay. Awesome.
Just on that general topic is that, you know, we don't really know how it was, I'm gonna say kept quiet, but appeared to be quiet. And that's one of the benefits of having some of these more regional resources. So I did call the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions today, but I just got a voicemail. I'm going to chat with them. Somehow some of these bigger picture items need to be more clear that are more regional. I am involved and have been, you know, always present at this one roundtable, but it's all the towns east of here. Now, I've heard that another one's getting formed with monthly meetings. That's going to be multiple towns west of here, including Epping and Lee and places like that. Because I think we need to have that to be aware of things that affect us, especially as things are getting industrialized around us. So I'll keep I'll talk to the Association of Conservation Commissions and let everybody know. And then also I'll stay involved with the current roundtable and see what the other roundtable's up to. Because I think that's probably the best way to do it, in addition to prep and some of these other things we're involved with. But and I don't know if they knew about it.
They've written a letter. So they're as a butter, they were notified.
Yeah, at some point they found out, but it's pretty recent.
And then is it Fish and Game that manages the Piscassic River Wildlife Management Area too? Because that riverway hits that before it hits
That's what the first thing it hits is that.
Yeah. 'Cause they need to, I mean, if they're not aware, they need to be aware of it too.
I asked about it. We don't know if they've commented or weighed on it. We don't know that at this point, but I'll ask that tomorrow. That was a question I had.
Yeah, and they're a little more complicated because they're a state agency. So for them to make a comment, they have to probably,
I'm just pointing out there because if you're looking at the map, it's, I mean, that
yeah, they're right.
through there.
Okay. I will try to join Tom tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can or not, but I will try to be there.
That'd be great.
In debrief.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. So that's what I have. We could come back and talk about officers and roles, or we could deal with that in our next meeting. So what do people think? It's 8:24.
What'd you say?
Officers, we could talk about officers, or we could deal with that in our next meeting.
I propose we dig in. I think we've got a lot to do if we're going to get this done by March.
Okay.
So with regards to officers, just so for background, 36A does not actually mention officers at all. Okay. That said, I think there's probably no disagreement that we maintain the 4 officers we have. They're very typical to have that. And hopefully there's not discussion on removing officers or adding new ones. But I think the 4 are good
Well, there will be in a month or 2 months.
for practical purposes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The only thing 36A does mention is that we may appoint clerks and other employees or subcommittees. So it doesn't mention officers, but it does mention clerks essentially. So we can put that in there, and that would, I think, include a recording clerk, which is something that is needed in our bylaws. Okay. Before we get into this, I did want to ask about something that wasn't clear to me, whether it's maybe a chair role or secretary, and that is the agenda. Who should own the agenda? I see that in different non-coms with either the secretary or the chair. And what do you think? Because it can go in either place. And
I think the chair has always done it.
Chair's always done.
and what about the distribution and getting it to Sue and things like that? The mechanism.
You ever do that, or was that?
No, it was always,
Yeah, that's always been the chair,
Chair.
just for the agenda, not necessarily. So minutes was the secretary, the agenda was the chair.
And then also a little background as far as distributing these things. Is this okay? Something along these lines. Distribution of material may be performed via paper copies, email attachments, or placement of documents in shared folders with directed individual announcement via email or suitable links. Because we didn't have this, the whole process of the information getting out with agendas and things was not spelled out and definitely didn't include electronic access to it. And I'm trying to cover that in there. So that would be a bylaw part that I think needs to get.
So say, I think that in the bylaws, that may be more specific than we want to get.
Yeah.
Because things change, right? So I think we just want to say the materials are made available. I don't think we want to get into shared folders.
That's more operational. Going back to your other comments, it could be something we put in a document about how we share information as a standard way of working.
I think it has to be distributed statutorily. It can't just be made available somewhere. It has to be distributed. And the mechanism for that isn't totally clear and, because we do different ones, but I think it should be spelled out that it could be either or. And that means that somebody might be responsible to look in on the folder to find something. It may not be, because in the old days, it was always paper. Now we have options on that. So point taken, we wouldn't have to, but they do have to be distributed.
But I think we
Certainly.
just say that they have to be distributed.
Okay. I'll leave it. Okay, thank you. So with,
Yeah, for the bylaws.
just going up from, up to the chair, so as far as the secretary goes, if you want me to just read this out, I will. The duties of secretary shall be to, one, post notices of all meetings and notify members of special meetings, okay? So that would be an important role. Record notes in the absence of recording secretary and oversee minutes of all minutes and hearings, which may include electronic renditions of meeting verbiage, okay, which gets us into the AI stuff. Post copies of minutes and distribute to appropriate town officials. Manage incoming correspondence. Distribute outgoing correspondence after submittal by the chair, who would really draft. The chair would be later responsible for creating the final correspondence to go out, not the secretary. I think that's appropriate.
So these are some of the changes you're recommending.
Oh, there's really nothing in there now. There's hardly anything on the secretary. It's very, so.
But again, that seems like it could be something that we just say, this is our practice.
Yeah, I think, Tom, I might need to see these written.
Okay. Yeah.
You had shared them, right?
Not yet. No, this was discussion tonight. So,
I need it. I think I agree with you in concept, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
get some of the words out.
okay.
That's what I
It's
think.
not relative to even the alternates. It's not that bad, the section. The chair is obviously the longest one.
I just think we want to be super careful about over prescribing.
Mhm.
We want to convey the intent, and we want to convey the things that are statutorily required. And then we want to leave a little leeway.
Yeah, because some of what you said about the secretary, I wouldn't want to limit only to the secretary because one of us wants to take the lead on something, or we have a subcommittee that wants to take the lead on something. We would want everybody to be able to distribute information, not just put it on the secretary.
Well, ownership is the question, like with anything.
I think
Ownership.
it's super helpful if you lay out all the things. we-
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah.
And then we can think about which ones we want to sort of specifically state,
Yeah.
but you've laid out what we need to think about.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
So if we can start with that.
Okay, that's fine. It's not that long, so we'll take that.
I don't take things in audibly all that well, so I'm sort of like, I'm much better at reading things.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good. But I do think that the thrust we want to capture is specificity, so that there's not these gray areas where I thought you were doing it. Oh, no. I don't think we want to get into that really on anything that's important.
Yeah, there's a fine line between flexibility and loosey-goosey. So, yeah, let's write them out and then let's take a look at them on paper. Appreciate that.
Easily done.
Thank you. Other thoughts? Anything from the audience? Maybe it's here because we're fascinating?
It's my first time seeing you guys.
It's like watching paint dry. Right?
Maybe.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have something they want to discuss?
As often, I have something to say. So the last week I went to a great seminar at Great Bay at the Gregg Center on tree diseases, basically, by Lindsay Watkins of UNH Extension. And it was fantastic. And we talked about maps and things like that. So that was real good. And this is a poster I got from out. They've got another one on the 18th of February and 18th of March. One's on the marine mammals, the other one's on salt marsh ecology. Excellent people, 5 minutes away, so there are things going on that hard to do, I suppose, if you're working those hours, but everybody is welcome. These are one of the types of things that I want to get consolidated into a website portal in the future that can be found.
The Tom Says newsletter. Yeah, they do great stuff there.
Yeah.
And it's also a place to get ideas for speakers. We want to bring speakers in. Great. All right. Others? Other thoughts? Okay. That's all I have. I move that we adjourn 8:32. Okay. All in favor? Hey.
Gesture.
I know. I just said a period.
Good, we got through some of that stuff. Good.